I don't know if it's given to everybody, but it's given just about. And it takes a long time to get to that situation. Now, I think, to get to a stage 9, I think that if you take a look, it's the same doctor that said that Joe was cognitively fine. There was nothing wrong with him. Well, he said, if it's the same doctor, he said there was nothing wrong there. And that's being proven to be a sad situation. And the auto pen is becoming a very big deal. The auto pen is becoming a big deal because it seems like that maybe was the president who ever operated the auto pen. But when they say that that was not good, they also, you have to look and you have to say that the test was not so good either. In other words, there are things going on that the public wasn't informed. And I think somebody's going to have to speak to his doctor, if it's the same, or even if it's 2 separate doctors. Why wasn't the cognitive ability, why wasn't that discussed? And I think the doctor said he's just fine, and it's turned out that's not so. It's very dangerous. Look, this is no longer politically correct. This is dangerous for our country. Look at the mess we're in. You're talking about all these questions on Ukraine and Russia that would have never happened. As an example, if I were president, would have never happened. The other thing is you have to say, why did it take so long? I mean, this takes a long time. It can take years to get to this level of danger. So it's a very, very sad situation. And I feel very badly about it. And I think people should try and find out what happened, because I'll tell you, I don't know if it had anything to do with the hospital. Walter Reed is really good. They're some of the best doctors I've ever seen. I don't even know if they were involved, but a doctor was involved in each case. Maybe it was the same doctor, and somebody is not telling the facts. That's a big problem.
President Zelensky of Ukraine says that the Ukrainians are ready for a ceasefire. They're ready for peace negotiations. In your mind, is Ukraine doing enough to get this?
I'd rather tell you in about 2 weeks from now, because I can't say yes or no. I think, look, he's a strong person. Zelensky, a strong guy, and he's not the easiest person to deal with. But I think that he wants to stop. He's, not. It's a very bad thing that's happening over there. I think he wants to stop. But I could answer that question better in 2 weeks or 4 weeks from now. I hope the answer is that he wants to get it solved. I want to thank everybody very much, and on behalf, unbelievable. He's a great representative. And he worked hard. He wanted to do it right, and we wanted to go somehow. We could get him done pretty easily in one way, but we wouldn't get him done by Tiffany. And the fact that the Arnault family stepped up was absolutely incredible. It means more when you get a name like that. I think it means something extra. But these were incredible people, and they're looking down on you right now, and they're very, very proud, very, very proud of all of you. And it's too bad we had to be doing this, but I was there with you that day. That was a rough day. Thank you very much. Would you have any questions? Yeah.
Do you have plans to give this award to any other families posthumously find themselves in the same position as having made this sacrifice after the test one question by your response?
Having to do from a previous? We're looking at the possibility of that, yeah. You had a lot of people die in the line of duty when you think of it. And we figured it was time to start. We haven't had the situation arise. This was a terrible situation. We haven't had it arise yet, but we're looking at going back a little bit and see what we can do about that. Yes, strongly. Yeah, go ahead.
On your call with President Putin today,
yeah,
you'd mentioned that the Pope would like to take a role potentially in mediating these talks. Does that mean that the U.S. is taking a step back from?
No. I think it would be great to have it at the Vatican. Maybe it would have some extra significance. And I saw that it was discussed yesterday, so I thought, and people told me that they'd be honored to do it. I would imagine they would be. And so, no, I think it would be maybe helpful. There's tremendous bitterness, anger, and I think maybe that could help some of that anger. So having it at the Vatican would be, in Rome, would be I think it'd be a great idea. Thank you.
Mr. President, as you know,
Can I say,
go ahead.
Mr. President, as you know, 2.5 months ago, Ukraine President Zelensky agreed to that 30-day ceasefire that's been on the table all of that time. What was the extent of your conversation with President Putin today about having him agree to that same 30-day ceasefire proposal that you, Mr. President, put on the table?
Well, what we've done, and very strongly, is we said, let's get this thing going. You know, I had many of the leaders of European nations on the line with me right after the call. And we have to get that thing solved. 5,000 young people every single week on average. And I've seen satellite pictures. You don't want to see these pictures. We'll have to see what happens. This was not my war. This is not a war that would have happened if I were president. This is not my war. I'm just here to try and help. We've spent hundreds of billions of dollars on this war, and yet that's not. Frankly, we made much more than that just in 4 days in the Middle East. It's a lot of money, but we do much. This is about thousands of people dying every single week. 5,000, 6,000 people dying every single week. And just like you have the